we were wrong. Our numbers were wrong. And as a result, we were making multi-million-dollar decisions and spending money off of incorrect data. It's super important that you get the right information that you can trust and take actionable decisions from.
Hey everybody, welcome back to SUBTA Studios. I'm here today with two industry leaders. And for those of you that are not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to our SUBTA YouTube channel. We got great content coming out weekly. And today we're going to be talking around LTV. As I mentioned, I got two industry leaders here. I've got Walter Long, the VP of Business Development over at Sublytics, good friend of mine. And I got Dan Probst, who is the president of Kongbox. Guys, thanks so much for jumping on.
Thanks, Chris.
Of course. Before we jump into LTV, which I know is such a critical data point, Dan, why don't you give us a quick background about yourself and Kongbox?
Yeah, so I've been in the wholesale and distribution world for about 15 years. Had a company that manufactured Bluetooth keyboards for the Apple iPad. And then about 6 months ago, got into this world of subscriptions. And truthfully, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I thought I knew a lot about distribution and wholesaling, but this is a whole new beast. So I've been excited to have learned from industry professionals like yourself and like Walter. And I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
Of course. And Kongbox has been building a really good business there with their subscription box, right?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success. We've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of failures, as I think is to be expected with any subscription company. But we've certainly learned a lot, and we're excited about this journey that we're on.
And Walter, a good friend of mine. Walter's been a part of SUBTA since I think 2017. Walter, give us a quick background and just a quick snippet about Sublytics.
I've been involved in subscription, the subscription ecosystem really since 2002. I joined the team here with Sublytics back in 2017. Got introduced to SUBTA and have been working with great brands like Kongbox. Essentially, what Sublytics is that we sit right in the middle of the subscription ecosystem, and we bring in data from a variety of sources. So the e-commerce platforms, from billing apps, from Facebook, Google, shipping providers, our own proprietary first-party tracking pixel, and we consolidate the data so it actually makes sense to subscription merchants so they can scale both growth and profitability.
Yeah, great. Thanks again for being on. Thanks for your support. So one of the critical data points for every sub box and every subscription business in general is LTV, right? And LTV is a big indicator of what your CAC might be, which is customer acquisition cost. Dan, real quickly, for those that might not be as familiar with LTV, can you just break it down as to what that means for your business and what it means in general?
Yeah, so LTV is of course lifetime value of a customer. This is a super important metric when we are looking at the kind of the macro level of our company, right? So when we look at a customer, if we're just looking at a one-to-one sale, we go, okay, well, our ROAS, our return on ad spend, cost us $50 and we charge $39 for a box. Well, clearly we lost money on that ROAS. But when we start looking at the lifetime value and that customer represents $200, $300, $400, then it changes how we perceive and how we acquire customers. So it's a important metric that we have to look at on a daily basis.
And Walter, brands that are looking at a CAC to LTV ratio, some brands I'm sure that are trying to scale, that ratio is a little different than those that are on profitability. What does it look like? What are you seeing with all the data you're looking at?
Yeah, it's really a little bit of a range, 3 to 1, that ratio, meaning if you're acquiring a customer for $40, you want your lifetime value to be about 120. We've seen some ratios that are closer to the 1-to-1, some that are a little bit inverted, and others that are really taken off. The thing that we really try and emphasize is, it's not enough to just take a look at your overall company LTV to CAC ratio. It's important to understand the different layers that comprise that. So what channels are you running on? What campaigns? What individual ads are you looking at? Use that type of granular activity to determine what your CAC should be at a real granular level, so you could eliminate what's not performing, so you could scale up what is performing well, and then start to optimize some of those ones that are kind of in between.
Dan, when you're looking at LTV and ways to increase it, it kind of comes in two fashions, right? It's like either upsell more or focus on retention. Let's talk about that a little bit. Where do you see some success with increasing LTV?
Yeah, so this conversation is really timely. So, I would say about 3.5 months ago, we started to take a really hard look at our retention. And truthfully, I can't say that I was super excited about what I saw. We had been doing a lot of marketing tactics to acquire and grow, and in the process, I think we were acquiring potentially the wrong customer. Right, we were getting those that wanted deals, and were kind of fly by nights. We'd get them in, and they were out the door the next day. And as a result, our LTV was pretty low. And so, we have taken a really deep dive into this specific topic to really retain our customers, and it's fundamentally had it kind of changed how we acquire customers, how we curate our box, what we're offering in that box, the value that we're giving, and who we of course market to. So it's been a really key feature for us, and it's changed the landscape. Even in the last 4 months, it's drastically changed the landscape of Kongbox.
Yeah, I think sometimes entrepreneurs and businesses, that you get blinded by all the new customers, right? Like there's an excitement level, net ad is super high, but then like 2-3 months on the road, all of a sudden the net ad starts to drop, right, and go negative. What are some things you've done on the retention side that you think have helped that LTV?
So I think, one of the big things, so I heard a piece of advice about 3 months ago, which I've really kind of taken to heart, that says, I never learned anything while I was talking. And so I had to kind of take that in and go, okay, I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent individual. But I had to take a step back and go, what are our customers saying? What are our teams saying? What is the industry saying? And to listen to all that feedback and then make some changes. And so we kind of took that, we listened to the customers, and we've tried to implement what they're saying. And so, and as a result, we've changed, box 2 plus, where we are adding a bonus item. People were feeling like the first box they got 6 items in the box. The second box and going forward was 5 items. And we kept having people say, hey, I'm missing something. And they weren't really missing anything. It was just this expectation and this value they thought they had. And so we've kind of changed our marketing and our curation. Now we add this bonus item in every box, and it's kind of a surprise and delight. They don't know what they're going to get. Sometimes we tell them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just get something in the box, and we're just trying to keep customers feeling like, hey, this is really fun. I enjoy this experience.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you set a standard in your first box, which from the business side, you're like, oh, let's get them excited to stay on, but then their expectations go up, like you said. And I think what's important too, like what's really critical about what you said is like listening to the customer, and you want to make adjustments. Like as a brand, you always have to be pivoting. Another thing that I learned, and I had this with my conversation with Ipsy, is that they do a lot of proactive retention. They look at the data and they're able to identify who is likely to cancel next month, whether it's by like, I don't know for sure how this is all done. I don't know if they got like a crystal ball, but no, the truth is like they're looking at the demographic of the consumer. They're looking at habits, customer service. They're looking at all these different factors, and they're able to say, well, this group of 500 people is got like an 80% chance they're going to cancel. So then they proactively will do things. One of them, offer an annual subscription at a discount to those people, because now you're like looping them in, right? They might add another item. Walter, how are there ways that you can look at data like that? Is there anything you've seen where you can kind of get like a predictive analysis and say like, this is a group of people that might churn next month?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of it really kind of goes into that level of granularity. So, not all customers are created equal. So for a number of merchants that are running across a wide variety of different traffic sources, they could typically go back and kind of break out those individual sources and then also individual campaigns, and then view where people are dropping off. Is that month 2? Is that month 3? It could be expensive to kind of treat all customers. I mean, in some cases it might work out well, but there might be certain campaigns and certain sources where there might be a bigger drop off on month 2. So you might want to jump in front of that free gift, that incentive, that email reach out to get them excited about the next month's box, versus another one that might be performing a little bit better along the lines of months, 4, maybe they're dropping off, and maybe that gets kind of pushed out a little bit. So we pay a lot of attention to the variety of different traffic sources, different campaigns, and we create individual customer cohorts and customer segments so those could be tracked and acted on appropriately.
Yeah, you're actually something just clicked with me, because you might be able to look at it and say, customers that got the 50% off the first box more than likely don't stay on for more than 3 months. And then like on that 3rd month, hit them with another gift, something to keep them to stay on. It's actually really interesting and really smart.
Discount codes are, a real big driver of that. We see that especially around the holidays. And kind of going back to your point, Chris, it's one thing to acquire a bunch of customers, and it's easy to get really excited about that, but it's just so important to measure the retention and lifetime value metrics, because you could end up with a whole bunch of customers that you're just losing your shirt on. Yeah. So we pay a lot of attention, and we provide the ability to kind of filter in by discount code, so we can make the correlation between what discount code people are using, what their retention is, what their lifetime value is. And then we also look at early indicators of that particular traffic and a variety of characteristics. So we have a specific report that highlights first renewal rates, because that's really important. That kind of sets the tone. And then we also take a look at early cancels. So people that are canceling within the first 24 or 72 hours. Maybe there's a customer that came over that just wanted one product, but then saw the subscribe and save. And then they said, well, you know what? I'm going to grab the 10 or 20% discount. I'm just going to call them either that same day or the next day, and then just cancel. Yeah. And then, just kind of got a discount. So we can shed a lot of light on that.
Dan, what are some things you're doing to increase LTV on the other end? Do you guys do upsell at checkout? Do you do like add an item before the box ships? Have you thought about that yet?
This is kind of an ongoing topic or conversation topic that we have. And currently we don't have the ability to upsell, and we don't have the ability to do one-off sales on our site yet. That's something that is kind of on the roadmap for 2021. It's something that we want to do. We see the value in it. There's quite a bit of programming and dev work for us to be able to make that happen.
Because I'm a big advocate of like upselling a mystery box at checkout. And I've talked about this for, I don't know, forever. I did it with my brand. I suggested it to a ton of brands I do consulting for. And I think we saw like a 40% take rate.
Wow.
We used to do 3 options. We used to say like add one item that was like 40, one item was like 20, one item was like 9. Like we did like this, and we were trying to see which one worked better. But then what we did was we did a mystery box, and it was right at checkout, and it had a little box, and it said, click this box to add this mystery box. And it had like a flashing red arrow, like telling them like, hey, like make sure you add this. And their take rate was like 40-45%. And then the guys over at BattleBox, they implemented it. And then they called me and were like, they wrote an article where they were like, 5-minute conversation with Chris netted us 6 figures in 45 days because they added that box. So definitely a big advocate of adding that. And that can add a ton to the LTV, right? Especially if you can put it all in one shipment, then you save on shipping costs. Talk to me about how important the customer experience is to helping with LTV, like customer service, things of that nature. And how does Kongbox think about that?
Yeah. So, kind of going back again a couple of months when we really took a deep dive into understanding our customer base and our lifetime value. One of the reports that we looked at was really this days to cancel from the time that someone signs up. How long are they staying with us, and at what day are they canceling? Are they canceling at day 23? Are they day 15? Really trying to understand what is that activation point. And truthfully, we had not done a great job of post-transaction like service and education. We'd done a lot of information up front, really drove people to the site, got them excited about it, and then we kind of just hope that they were happy and we walked away, right, and went on to the next. And so we, about 4 months ago, really took, like I said, this hard look, and as a result, now we have a really good understanding when those cliffs are, when people are unsubscribing, and we've taken measures to really help and educate, both through surveys and understanding how they're feeling about the service, and then based off of the survey, how they answer the question, it triggers them into a different email flow. And then we started to add some additional education content. So instead of just getting a customer, now we're really trying to help give them support through the service and really engage them. And as a result, we've had fantastic. Our retention has increased by about 70% retention to about a 95% retention. Wow. And it's made some huge impact to the bottom line. It's made a huge impact to customer satisfaction. It's made a huge impact on the team feeling excited about what we're doing, that we're not just kind of hemorrhaging money and hemorrhaging customers. And so all around, it's been a really cohesive, a good experience for us.
You mentioned earlier the ROAS versus LTV and CAC, but as a subscription business, you're in general going to spend more to acquire the customer than the first transaction.
Right.
So cash flow in the beginning stages obviously can be a little tricky there. How are you thinking about that? What are you seeing? Investment level, scalability, things of that nature.
Yes, I think Kongbox is a unique case scenario where we've got a 50-year-old brand. We've got a lot of brand equity, brand recognition. We don't have this same battle that maybe a lot of companies have to do and telling people why they're good. It's really us making sure that we continue to match the Kong branding of what they've done for so long. With that, we've got some really solid partners, right? We've got Kong, who's got a really strong brand. They've also got a lot of money, and they want to make sure that their brand is portrayed in the way that they want it. And so really, it's not so much a battle of how much money we spend. It's a battle of, can we make sure we convey the right message? Are we portraying Kong in the brand, or in the light that they want to be seen? And then of course, balancing that against new acquisition. So it's kind of a tightrope that we walk. Every day we could spend huge amounts of money. We want to make sure that we're getting the right customers that match really the Kong brand.
So now, Walter, I'm going to feed off you for this, because I think one of the things that a lot of brands have to deal with is trying to actually figure out what LTV is, right? It's hard. And when I try to think of, when I try to explain it, I tell everybody, well, take a group of people that signed up a year and a half ago and look at how much revenue you got from that group over the course of time until they were all gone, and divided by how many customers there were in that group. How do you think about it? And how do you explain it to somebody when they're trying to identify how to calculate LTV?
Sure. So it's very similar to what you outlined, except it's just really difficult for a lot of merchants to get their arms around it.
Yep.
So it's really every bit of revenue that comes in on a particular customer, it needs to be tracked. So it's not just that initial conversion and the dollar amount there. It's not even, the initial subscription that customer may have signed up for. We've got a number of our merchants. They have customers that might sign up for a 3-month prepaid subscription, and then they end up converting over to a month-to-month subscription. And then throughout that time, they may come back a variety of times and do one-off purchases, or they might send a gift out to someone. So by aggregating all that data and continuously adding that up and tracking that to that initial subscriber is really where kind of like, that big light bulb moment comes on board. The thing that I talk about all the time is that subscription merchants are very, very savvy, and they're always inventing new ways to do things and monetize their customers. A lot of times technology really hasn't kept up with that. So there's way too many people that are using Excel spreadsheets and clunky BI tools to be able to look at their data when it's really not designed for subscription overall.
I think one of the biggest mistakes a brand can make, and Dan, you can probably contest to this, but not knowing what that LTV number is. Because there's a lot that don't know. And that's so critical, because how can you identify what you should spend to acquire a customer if you don't know what you're making on them?
And I think that equally important is not knowing, but having incorrect information, right?
Yeah.
I think that Kongbox, we suffered this, where we had done our best to create these reports that were pulling from various areas and giving us measurements and numbers, and as a result, we were wrong. Our numbers were wrong. And as a result, we were making multi-million-dollar decisions and spending money off of incorrect data. And so, it's one thing to not know what you were at, but it's another thing to have incorrect data.
Yeah.
And so you really, it's super important that you get the right information that you can trust and take actionable decisions from. So
yeah, no, you're right. It actually might be worse, right? Because you might make like you said, a critical spending error because you think your LTV is one number and it's actually less. Wow. Walter, let's talk about LTV by media spend, right? Because all these brands have acquisitions coming from multiple channels: Google search, Facebook media, social spend, influencer, right? Top of the funnel traffic, first click attribution, last click attribution, right? Like I think Dan and me talked about this last time we chatted. Where do you really see that it helps a ton to go granular? And it might be, I'm thinking something to do with the discounts, but there could be something else too, right?
We work with a lot of merchants that are tracking a variety of UTM parameters, everything from medium to source to the campaign that they're running to individual ads that they're running. And they really want to get that granular view to be able to break out those individual metrics and understand what is that customer acquisition cost at each of those different levels? What is the LTV to CAC ratio at those individual levels? We introduced our tracking pixel so merchants can get a view of what do things look like related to first click attribution? What does that look like on last touch? So they can, see those overall differences, because, if someone's running on, let's say, a coupon site, the coupon site might be getting credit for a wide variety of sales that actually originated through an influencer campaign or some other kind of paid campaign that should be getting at least some amount of credit for it and potentially an overwhelming majority of that credit. So really understanding those granular details is the only way to optimize marketing efforts within the subscription ecosystem.
All right, Dan. So a lot of the people that might be watching are early stage growth phase. Give me two things that have been critical that you think are critical for growing a business.
Yeah, so I think that, the very first thing, in my opinion, is going to be making sure that you have a happy customer, and not just customer service, like they call in and, hey, I'm dissatisfied, but actually making them happy with the whole experience, right? Because if someone signs up on a subscription, this is disposable income. This isn't, diapers and toilet paper and food that you got to live. This is something that's kind of extra. And so, these are people that are paying for an experience. They're not just getting products. They can go to the store and they can buy something. They want to have an experience, and people only talk about what they love or hate, right? And so you want to give something that people can really talk about, that they love. They love that it just comes to them and it's seamless and it's fun and it's exciting and it's something they can talk to their friends about and something they can to really enjoy, right? So, making this a good experience overall. And, Kongbox is not without its issues. We have come a long ways, and we still have a lot to really kind of surprise and delight customers. And I'm committed to that mission of really having people really love this this service. So that's kind of the first thing. And then second to that is just to echo, what we were just talking about, is making sure that you have accurate data that you can look at and you can trust. Without that, you're just taking a shot in the dark. You don't know what's really working. You don't know what's actually causing effect. You don't know, what efforts are really making the change and what are not. And so really having actionable data that is accurate, that you can trust, will change and revolutionize what you're doing.
Yeah, love it. Walter, if anybody's any questions about understanding data and LTV, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. So our website is sublytics.com, SUBLYTICS. And my email is walter@sublytics.com. And if you don't mind, real quick tidbit, I promised my marketing team I would bring this up. For sure. We're spending a lot of time on this ebook, and every month we're introducing a new chapter. So last month it was all about retention. This month it's all about lifetime value. So
great. I think, Dan, you saw the first chapter. You said it was pretty good, right? You got to send it over to me, Walter, so I can look at it.
Well, Chris, you're gonna like this one. It's not like the fluffy, what is this or what is that? It's like, some specific things related to the subscription industry that merchants need to account for. And 99% of them are not accounting for all the things that we're bringing up. So there's something in there for everyone for sure.
Love it. Well, guys, I want to thank you both. Dan, great job with Kongbox and building that up. Walter, thank you so much for being a partner. For those of you watching, thank you for tuning in again, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a new show coming out every week. I'm also live on Fridays on the Subscriptionpreneurs Facebook page and on LinkedIn. And I'm also live on Tuesdays with brands that are just firing off questions at me. Again, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully we'll see you in Dallas.